round 10 and we're here in Sydney, Australia. The Opera House is probably one of the most famous landmarks in the entire world, and today provides the stunning backdrop to this, the penultimate race of the season. In preparation for the World Championships in Perth in 3 weeks, the starting lineup is one of the strongest yet. The Australians are determined to do well on home soil and are here in significant numbers. The course revolves around the Sydney Opera House and as ever starts the 1500-metre swim in the harbour area. Once through transition, they embark on a 40-kilometre 6-lap cycle race which takes them through the tree-lined streets of Sydney. And finally they head off on a 3.5-lap 10-kilometre run which takes them through the Botanic Gardens. Who to watch out for? Well, in the women's field, it's one of the strongest assembled, and the majority of the top Australians are here. Tour leader and race favourite Emma Carney returns home after her convincing win in Bermuda and is keyed up for a strong race on the proposed Olympic course. Rena Hill, not seen on the tour since Hungary, has been training with Emma Carney and is very eager to get some good racing under her belt. Nikki Andronicus has not had the best of luck this season, but is determined to put that right in her hometown. The one person who can stop Emma Carney's dominance at the top of the world rankings this year is Erica Molnar. She's here and is truly confident. Carol Montgomery has had podium finishes in the last 3 ITU events and wants to keep that trend rolling. ITU Triathlon World Cup Sydney, presented by Energy Australia, is just a few moments away. I'm sure you will agree that this is the most beautiful backdrop to any World Cup competition we have seen so far this season. As always, joining myself, Nick Fellows, in the commentary box, former world number 3, Catherine Davis. And Catherine, extra butterflies out there today. This really can be described as the Olympic dress rehearsal.
It certainly can, Nick. And also remember that if some of the athletes don't do well here today, they won't make it to Perth. They won't make their national team. So there's a lot of pressure to do well, to get those points. And also for the Australians, they want to do well in front of their home crowd.
Well, for those of you joining us on the ITU Triathlon World Cup Tour for the first time, we're going to be looking for some of the coloured caps, an indication of the ranked athletes. But before that, a detailed look at this swim course to be taken in the early part of this World Cup competition. It's 2 laps around Farmers Cove, as it's known, just below the Opera House. That familiar pontoon start will also break up the first and the second laps, 750 metres per lap. What we're hoping is there's not too much barging and hustle and bustle trying to get in and out of the water. Well, it's good news for the Australians because Rena Hill is placed in second position. Just ahead of her is Nikki Hackett. So Australia already in first and second position. Now, Catherine, we've seen Nikki Hackett some years before, but this is a rare appearance on the World Cup Tour for the Australian, who we know is a very fine swimmer.
That's right, Nick. She usually races in Sydney. This is the 3rd time the World Cup has come to Sydney over the proposed Olympic course. And we can see Nicole Hackett here in front. She used to be a national level swimmer, and she's really breaking up the field here. It's a bit of a surprise to see her so far ahead of Barb Lindquist, who, as you will remember, has led the World Cup races right from the beginning of the season.
Well, Nikki Hackett is just ahead of 2 of the more familiar names from the Aussie team, Rena Hill and Nikki Andronicus.
I had a disastrous time in Europe. I was sick so frequently and I kept getting injuries and had problems with all my bike and equipment. So, you know, I decided that to come home and get ready for these 2 important races was probably a lot better idea than to stay over there and keep plodding away with what I was doing.
viewers, this is unfamiliar sight that we see here. Nikki Hackett has got the better of Barb Lindquist, who really has dominated the women's swim sections of the tour so far this season. And good news for the Australians, as Rena Hill is tucked in right behind him. Now there's Emma Carney in that fluo-green cap, the pre-race favourite. She could wrap up the World Cup here, but she must finish ahead of Erika Molnar, and she's around about 45 seconds off the pace. Also rounding the boy there in the red cap is Isabelle Mouton. The green cap, not to be confused with the fluo-green cap of Carney, that belongs to Nikki Andronicus. And both Mouton and Andronicus find themselves 25 seconds down already. So Nikki Hackett just ahead of Rena Hill, with Barb Lindquist also very much in the chase, setting a very fast pace indeed in what can only be described as cold water compared to the last round in Mexico.
That's right, you can see that they're all wearing wetsuits, and most of them are long-sleeve wetsuits, and many of them have those neoprene hats on as well underneath their swim caps. You have to be really careful in these races not to lose too much heat, because then you'll find that you can't really get it going when you get onto the bike, and you will lose your position in that all-important first pack.
Well, finally we see the American making her challenge, and Barb Lindquist is now catching Rena Hill to put the American into second position. There's no question that Nikki Hackett there really is showing a superb swim style and technique, but now Lindquist starts to work her way up to that familiar first position.
Barbara Lindquist used to be an all-American swimmer. She's more used to swimming in a pool or in calm water, and I think this really happens to a lot of the top swimmers that aren't used to swimming out in the open water. They put on a wetsuit and it slows them down a bit, whereas it does benefit the weaker swimmers. So I think this is evening out the race a bit already so far.
There, a beautiful shot of the Opera House, zooming in into Nikki Hackett, who really is starting to look very impressive, getting the better of Barb Lindquist. Now, we know that Hackett is a swim specialist. As we've often seen with Lindquist in World Cup competitions gone by, the pace is unable to be maintained, particularly in the final 10-kilometre run section. So let's look a little further down the field. No question that the American Lindquist holds on to runner-up position. They'll climb out of the pontoon, and this will be our first chance to get an accurate second timing of how far Nikki Hackett is ahead of the rest of the field. Out of the pontoon, diving back in for the second lap, another 750 metres to go, and there Nikki Hackett having a confident look across to her right there to see just how far the rest of the field are behind her. Lindquist is definitely second there in the blue cap, then showing that she's a ranked competitor in the white cap. Rena Hill dives into the water in third place. It looks to be Loretta Harrop who'll be next out of the water. No, it's the Italian, Silvia Gemanini. She is confirmed fourth. Harrop is tucked in right behind her.
You can see that those women had a pretty easy time of it getting out there onto the pontoon. They weren't very bunched up, but when this group gets there, we're going to see some real bumping and barging there. It is very tough. It's a narrow entrance. They have to climb up a couple of stairs, and you can see what a tough time some of them are having there. There's a lot of bumping, a lot of elbows. They're waiting their turn to get up. They're desperate to get across the pontoon and dive in again. And also, I think we're going to see what separates the former swimmers from those who come from a running background. Some of them will be diving in. There goes Emma Carney in the light green cap. You can see her going in. She actually takes a jump. She jumps feet first in. Now, you can tell that that's a sign of somebody who wasn't from a swimming background. The rest of them have gone head first in.
Also, Erika Molnar in the yellow cap there coming out of the water. 1 minute 19 seconds behind the leaders. And it really is quite rough and tough. Emma Carney not having the focus, the strength, or even the courage to dive into the water there, as she was near crushed under the pontoon. She also finds herself way down the field at this early stage in this competition, some 50 seconds off the pace. Leading throughout the 1,500-metre swim and first onto the pontoon, bringing this opening section to a close, Australia's Nicole Hackett, closely followed by Barb Lindquist of the United States of America, and fellow Aussie Rena Hill holding well to third position. Already starting to strip down Catherine now. A speedy transition is essential with a big chase group just behind them.
That's right, Nick. Every second counts in these triathlons. The level has gone up so much that there's often only about 30 seconds between third and 10th place. So they know that they have to rush through every single minute. You can see them. They've got their wetsuits stripped down to their waist now. As soon as they get to their bikes, they'll take them right off, clip on the helmet, put on the shoes. But they know that Emma Carney's behind them. Emma's capable of making up to 2 or 3 minutes on the bike. She did that in Bermuda. She showed that she is by far the superior cyclist out there. And if they have a chance, they have to work hard now.
Rena Hill will be happy with her third position this far in the competition. She's on the podium podium twice this season, runner-up in the opening round in Ishigaki, Japan, and also second in Stockholm. Now, this is a good performance for the triathlete in fourth position for Italy, Silvia Gemignani, and also just behind her is Loretta Harrop, also looking to get close and coming very close. Look at the Italians struggling with the wetsuit, which allows Loretta Harrop to overtake in the transition area. The confirmed time for Rena Hill, 18 minutes 45 seconds. As we said, in third position. Bob Lindquist has been quicker in transition than the early swim leader Nicole Hackett, and the United States of America will take the lead for the first time in this competition. Back to Farmers Cove, and there's still one of the big guns, or at least two or three of the favourites, to come out of the water, and we're looking for the fluo-green cap of Emma Carney. Traditionally, she's behind in the swim section. The question is how much here today. There now she looks for the bike. She already starts to strip down. She's about 1 minute 40 off the pace, so once again Emma Carney will have it all to do in bike and run sections. Loretta Harrop was just seen in transition. She's possibly not had the best of swims to her standards, and we already see the two cyclists, Hackett and Lindquist, in the lead for the USA. 20 seconds already clear, and Emma Carney still to get to her bike. They're the indication of the work that the pre-race favourite. Remember, if Carney wins here today, ahead of Hungary's Erika Molnar, she'll lift the World Cup title for the third year in succession. For now, Bob Lindquist leads for the United States of America. Emma Carney now confirmed at 20 minutes 19 seconds for the swim section, as predicted, over 1 minute 40 down on the leaders, and it's not looking like the quickest of transitions either. Also not going too well off the opening swim section, Carol Montgomery there with Carney. Confirmation of the swim times, 18:41 for Hackett, just behind the USA Lindquist, then Rena Hill, Loretta Harrop, and the Italian in fifth. Well, the bike course takes them onto a hill immediately from transition through downtown Sydney, then into the Botanic Gardens, and around the grandstand steps of the Sydney Opera House. 6 laps of 6.5 kilometres. Bob Lindquist still leads with Nicole Hackett tucked in right behind her, working well as a duo, but the more talented, more aggressive cyclists are just behind them. It's quite a technical, tight-turning course, and that will also suit the cycle specialist, and this is something really quite unique. This tight turn around the bay of the Opera House will really test the skills of the cyclist and could also cause one or two upsets here, Catherine. Skill really is essential at this part of the course.
It certainly is. It's a tight turn. It's slightly sloped. It's a little bit like a cycle velodrome. They're not quite as steep, and they really do have to slow down when they're going around, so they will be concerned if they're in a big group. You can see that the big groups do go much slower when they come to the curve. There's Emma Carney right now. She's not that far behind Loretta Harrop in fourth place up there. She'll be looking to catch up to that lead group. She doesn't want to be in this group with Erika Molnar and Carol Montgomery.
These are sad pictures and bad news for Nikki Andronicus. Her season has been plagued with ill fortune throughout, and she's there, clearly seen, struggling with a puncture. So to remind you, Emma Carney is still 1 minute 50 now. They're being swallowed up by the rest of the triathletes, and it's looking like Andronicus' race is over. Lap 3, Bob Lindquist leads for the United States of America, but it is Emma Carney and Loretta Harrop who are gaining on these leaders. Carney is having a sensational early part to this cycle section. She's about 40 seconds per lap quicker than the rest of the field. She's already caught up Loretta Harrop, and now she's just a few moments away of catching up the leaders Nikki Hackett and, of course, Bob Lindquist. Rounding the tight bend in the Botanic Gardens here of Sydney, and Emma Carney really is pushing very hard.
Loretta will be pleased to be with her there. Remember, Loretta has led the race with Barb Lindquist and with a few other of the top Australians in the past, and she had a bad swim today, so she will be pleased to be with Emma, and I'm pretty sure that Emma will be able to drag her up to Barb Lindquist. Barb's had such a fantastic swim and bike so far. I bet she's not pleased to see Emma catching up so quickly.
She really is driving incredibly hard. Now let's move back about halfway into lap 3. This is the main chase group. Includes Gail Lawrence, Mika Sues, Erika Molnar. Remember, Molnar must beat Emma Carney here today if she's to deny the Australian her third successive World Cup title. Also, we see Rena Hill and Isabelle Mouton for France very much in contention within that chase group. Back to Emma Carney, Loretta Harrop. They are working incredibly well, and Loretta Harrop is doing a good job in pulling Emma Carney along, and they're looking to swallow up Bob Lindquist now. She knows that Emma is catching, and she has drawn away from Nicole Hackett to try and stay in top position.
I think Barbara knows that she really needs to work hard to stay in front of Emma. It's no fun being out there alone, as you can see now from Nicole Andronicus on her own behind all the chase packs, having suffered that puncture earlier on. It really is no fun to be out there alone. You're either going to get left behind or reeled in by the chasers.
Finishing lap 3 in front of this huge crowd for the United States of America, Barb Lindquist rounding this velodrome-type bend in front of the Sydney Opera House. Just behind her is Hackett for Australia, getting most of the cheers. Then we'll wait to count down the seconds. This is Emma Carney and Loretta Harrop. Very aggressive riding from Carney there, locking up the back wheel, rounding the bend. Really an indication of how fired up she is. They've done a fantastic job of whittling down that deficit from the swim section. The big chase group's headed up by Gail Lawrence, also of the USA. They're around about 1 minute 25 seconds behind the leaders. We know that Barb Lindquist is struggling now. Perhaps it's a psychological problem that she knows Carney is drawing ever nearer. Look to the top, almost left side of your screens, because Carney and Loretta Harrop really are working well together, powering in the pedals and looking to catch the two leaders now. Coming to the end of their third lap. This is the chase group. Gail Lawrence is clearly in the lead, but you can see how much slower, how much cautious the big group is behind, and they really are taking it easy. Nobody wants to crash before the World Championships. Good to see the French stars Mouton and Christine Hock keeping the European hopes alive.
It should be a tough race. It should be maybe harder than the World Championship, because all the Australians are here and they all want to be strong, to be fast here, because it's such a big event for them, and it should be a tough race.
Back to the action, well into lap 4. The race leader is still Barb Lindquist for the USA, but she's now sensing it's only a matter of time, because Emma Carney has caught Nicole Hackett, the winner from the swim section. Barb Lindquist switching the juice bottles there to keep the water intake going, but they are really pushing very hard, climbing the hill once again in downtown Sydney here. But Barb Lindquist feels that she has gone through this process many times before in races gone by. It's normally not quite as early on as this, and Emma Carney is determined to win in front of her home crowd here. And Catherine, one has to say, she's looking most impressive in the early part of this cycle section.
That's right. I think she's carrying on her form from Bermuda, where she was about 4 minutes faster than the next person off after the end of the race. She's really doing well here to have caught up to Barb, but I think Barb will be pleased to have Emma with her. She knows that now she does have another chance in the race. If they can work well as a small group of 4, they can make up a lot of time on the trace group. Remember that Emma got out of the swim with Gail Lawrence and Erica Molnar, and she's now made up about 40 seconds a lap on them. So she is dragging these women along with her, and they have a good shot for the run as well.
Loretta Harrop now leads with Emma Carney second. Barb Lindquist is third. Nicole Hackett is in fourth position. Harrop, never better than ninth on the tour so far this season, finds herself with Emma Carney looking to raise the World Cup crown for the third year in succession. Back to the chase group. They are a fair way down, one has to say, not working half as effectively or as quickly in these tight turns as the leading quartet. We work out that the chase group is some 1 minute 50 seconds behind and having to go very tentatively around these tight bends. Working incredibly hard, Emma Carney looking for her 6th victory of the season, and she really is doing a good job to stay clear of this chase group.
We can see the chase group coming around the point of the Botanic Gardens here. This is the spot known as Mrs. McQuarrie's chair, and you can see that they really do have to put their brakes on. The road's quite bumpy. They have to take a lot of care, and every time they go around there in such a big group, they're probably losing 5 or 10 seconds to that lead group.
And as noted earlier, Rena Hill clearly at the back of the chase group there, possibly saving herself for the forthcoming 10-kilometre run section. There is no change in the top position. Emma Carney continues to pull everybody along. Cast your memories back, 2 minutes down after the swim, and now easily dominating in first position. Emma Carney was proving once again that her form is peaking at the right time of the year. Having called the lead group on the bike, they had forged a lead of nearly 2 minutes. As has been seen on many occasions this season, the large chase pack lacked the speed of a smaller group. Although it included some very fast runners who have to come out of transition with all guns blazing if they were to catch the leaders. Marvellous piece of cycling skill by Emma Carney, who hops off the bike at the perfect moment to go into transition leading. Just behind her it looks to be Loretta Harrop. Barb Lindquist and Hackett have both performed bravely but are now starting to suffer under the heat and the speed set by Emma Carney. Confirmation, 1 hour, 3 minutes, 17 seconds for the bike section. And Emma Carney now in this Energy Australia Sydney event is striding out for the world title for 1997. She's a specialist in the 10-kilometre run, and the 3 other triathletes who go with her will fear Carney in this closing section. Here we see the chase group still looking to come into transition area as the clock continues to tick away. 1:24:58 coming up to now 1 hour 25 minutes. Gail Lawrence pulls the chase pack along, but it is unlikely that Emma Carney will be caught. And most importantly, Erika Molnar is way down on Carney now. The only triathlete capable of denying Carney the World Cup title here today. Already she strides out ahead of the 3 triathletes just behind her. And Catherine Carney now surely has this one sewn up at the beginning of the 10-kilometre run section.
Emma's not afraid of the women she's running with. I'm sure she's sorry that Jackie Gallagher, the current world champion, and McKeely Jones, former world champion, are not here today.
Well, this is the new part of the Sydney course that has been created especially for the forthcoming Millennium Olympic Games. It's a 3.5-lap, 10-kilometre run through the gardens and that uphill section, the new part through the main city of Sydney itself. Here comes Gail Lawrence speeding into the transition area. Perhaps they know that Emma Carney cannot be caught, but there are still podium positions up for grabs. And for many of these triathletes, Catherine, World Championship selection in 3 weeks' time is still to be made.
That's right. There are a number of athletes here, such as Vika Hoops out of Holland, who hasn't done any races over the season, and she has to do well here if she wants to carry on to Perth. There she is right now. She was 3rd in this race last year. She'll be looking for a good race. Erika Molnar just went by. She wants to keep up her role of staying on the podium and following that win in Cancun last time. And there are a lot of runners there who think they might be able to chase down Loretta Harrop, Barb Lindquist, and Nicole Hackett for the podium positions.
Vika Sousa, former winner on the Tour, is also in transition. A lot of the big names throughout the season are there, but they're leaving their challenge very late indeed. And most importantly, Erika Molnar will not be challenging Emma Carney in this kind of form, and the World Cup title could quite easily be decided here today. Exiting transition, Vika Hoops, from Holland, 3rd here last year, leaving herself a lot of work to do on Emma Carney. 1:23:36 total time for swim and bike. Hackett, Harrop, Lindquist and Gail Lawrence already 2 minutes 40 off the pace in 5th position. Emma Carney strides out in that formidable running style that really has brought a great success in this sport, and she's already splitting the field. To be honest, Catherine, these are not run specialists behind her, but strong swimmers. This is the one surely we have to watch out for. Now working her way into 5th position, Erika Molnar for Hungary.
She's no threat to Emma Carney at this point, but she could challenge for those other positions on the podium. She's riding high after her win at the last race in Cancun, and she would love to be the first European to take the world crown in 3 weeks' time.
Emma Carney clearly has this one sewn up. The applause are already beginning, and many of the officials stepping onto the course to give her congratulations. Her 6th World Cup victory of the season, but most importantly, this is enough to raise the crown. There's Loretta Harrop going the other way, still holding on to 2nd position. Harrop there has done well. She too is on target for a personal best, being willed along by the local crowd. Never better than 9th on the Tour, and Harrop will be delighted with her finish. Carney, full of smiles, once again brimming with confidence going into a World Championships. But this victory will be remembered. 500 points will be picked up, and the world crown for 1997 will also belong to Emma Carney. Her 3rd back-to-back World Cup victory, and once again will go to the world as the hottest favourite. The Australian crowd at the foot of the Sydney Opera House are delighted to see their hero claim top honours, and round 10 of the Tour has gone to Emma Carney.
It wasn't easy out there. I think I've had an ordinary swim again. It was a little bit rough out there, and going into the water the 2nd time I did a bomb rather than a dive. But yeah, it was a good race.
The 21-year-old swim specialist finally gets the hang of the cycle and the run sections and climbs onto the podium for the first time in her career. It's a 1 and 2 for Australia and an ecstatic Loretta Harrop. 3rd position to Barb Lindquist. She too records her best result of the season. Another triathlete getting the hang of the bike and run sections.
It's awesome. Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting it at all. But it just goes to show in a triathlon, you know, when things aren't going your way, if you hang in there, you can still come through.
Confirmation of the women's result position, but lift the crown for the season. Harrop and Lindquist personal bests in